Hello and welcome back to High Velocity Copywriting. This is Roy Furr again, and we are getting down to brass tacks. We're putting the pen to paper. We are starting to really structure our message and develop our outline that we're going to use to write the copy. And the good news is that I'm going to give you specific templates that work for each of these sections, whether you're addressing a problem or speaking to an opportunity or making a prediction. I'm going to give you specific templates and structures that are universal to these different big ideas that represent the underlying structure of an effective persuasive message. And so with that, let's dive into grabbing attention. And really, again, this is about opening the sale. This is about starting the sales conversation with your ideal target market, with your ideal prospect. And just to recap, we do have to make 3 sales to successfully get through the grabbing attention step of the persuasive message. The first sale that we have to make is that this is worth your time and readership or viewership. This is something that you should actually invest in, as opposed to all the other things that you could do with the next few minutes of your life. Next sale is I'm a credible authority to deliver this message. I speak from a place of credibility. I can speak with authority about addressing your problem, about helping you get access to this opportunity, about how to respond to this prediction and the fact that the prediction is true in the first place. And then I can offer a desired outcome. I can help you get through this and get to the other side in a way where your life is better as a result. And this is both emotional and practical. There are emotional outcomes that people want from a specific situation, and there are practical outcomes. And you've often heard it said, and I'll repeat it here, that people buy because of their emotional desired outcome. They make the buying decision based on the emotion. And in fact, I recently had a piece of research brought to my attention about people that had brain damage in the emotional centers of their brain. And the research studied their decision-making ability after the brain damage. And what kind of surprised the researchers, but I suppose if you really think through marketing research, should not surprise you, was that after people had brain damage in the emotional centers of their brain, one of the surprising capacities that disappeared was their capacity to make decisions. And what that shows us is that even for those of us who have this emotional idea that we are logical human beings, our capacity to make decisions is largely driven by our emotions. We use logic to justify and understand our buying decision, but ultimately that decision is taking place in the emotional center of our brain, and then we're backing it up with the practical considerations. So how do we do this? How do we grab attention? Number one, we do it with the big idea. So that's the urgent problem that we can solve in a preeminent way. We speak to what that urgent problem is. We speak to the new and 10x better opportunity that we are able to present, put in front of you, or we speak to the prediction of an imminent life-changing event that we can help them navigate. And how do you do this? Well, first and foremost, I would encourage you to think like a journalist, not like a copywriter, that once you have the right problem, opportunity, or prediction that you are presenting, then it only makes sense for you to present it in a way that provides a comprehensive understanding of what it is. And the common way that the journalists present news items is by going through the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, why, and then of course we add how. So if you think like a journalist, who, what, when, where, why, how, It really helps you develop a framework for the essential points that you need to address very quickly, very early on in your message. And if you don't do this, you're going to have people who, even though they have given you attention initially, sense that something is slightly off about your message, and they won't necessarily allow you to keep their attention. Also, think about the ideas of conviction, urgency, and preeminent importance as you're presenting your message. And so, as you are presenting your big idea, you should present it in such a way that it is the most important thing in your prospect's day. That, okay, if there's an urgent problem that you can help them solve, they want your solution. They need to know about your solution. You have complete conviction in your solution. You have urgency because it is your life's work to help them solve that problem. That you consider your solution to be the best possible solution for them available in the marketplace, and you consider solving that problem as being your life's work. Or if there's an opportunity, you have conviction in your belief in this opportunity. You believe that this opportunity is something that they need to seize now with urgency. It is important that they seize this opportunity now. Same thing with the prediction. It's not just that you're making a prediction about something that might happen. You have conviction that this is happening. It's going to happen soon, and it's going to impact their life in a big way, and they need to be ready to respond to it. And again, built into that is the urgency and the importance. You present your big idea with conviction, urgency, and preeminent importance. So all of this, like I'm not talking about headline formulas, right? This isn't how you do it fast. Once you have done your research and bought into and convinced yourself of this urgent problem that you can solve, or the 10x better opportunity, or the prediction, you just sit down and write like human being to human being. Forget trying to use marketing gimmicks and all of that. You are conveying a critically important message, and you convey that fast and in the best possible way. Now, I do specifically, in the context of this, want to acknowledge that there are lead types that were presented by Michael Masterson and John Ford in the book Great Leads as being consistently useful ways to present different messages in marketing. And in fact, they presented these as the primary 6 ways that effective selling messages are started. And I do not believe that what they are saying in any way conflicts with my presentation of the 3 big ideas. I do believe that their 6 lead types are ways to express these 3 big ideas. And so I want to speak to this because when you actually sit down to start to write about, let's say, a prediction, or actually a better example would be an opportunity, there are different ways that you can talk about that opportunity. And these 6 lead types really do start to give you an understanding of how to position that big idea as you open up your message. And the lead types are based on how aware your prospect, your market is of the problem that they're facing, the potential solutions that are out there in the market, the other products and services like yours, as well as your product and service, and specifically your business, your offer, and going from most aware to least aware, we start with the promise or offer. Now, this typically represents a new opportunity if somebody already is very aware of you and trusts you, and you simply want to put a new offer in front of them, a new opportunity in front of them, you can usually be pretty direct about making a promise and making an offer. You do have to justify the opportunity itself and its existence and its realness. However, you can be pretty direct with that. One step back is an invitation. And again, this is typically going to represent a opportunity that I invite you to take advantage of this opportunity to join in with me. Step back from that, across the awareness spectrum from most aware to least aware is the problem solution lead. So someone might not be so aware of your product services, but they are aware of the problem and maybe the solution. And you need to speak to that. You start with the problem, you agitate the experience of the problem, you invalidate other solutions that are out there in the marketplace, you present your solution, and then you ask them to take action. That's a formula that I've taught in other BTMS Insiders training. You speak to the problem and the solution. And if you are speaking to an urgent problem that they know that they have, they're looking for a solution to, that you are providing reactive demand fulfillment, then this is a perfect lead type for you. Now, a step back from that is secrets and systems. And typically this is going to represent an opportunity, but it may represent an opportunity that you are reaching out to a colder market who is not so aware of your products, your services, or even the solutions that you provide, who may know that they want something more from their life in terms of their wealth, their health, their relationships, their general life experience. And you're able to provide that through your products and services, your offer. Well, you may start that conversation by presenting it in such a way that it comes across as a secret or a system. You may use the secrets and systems lead type for that. Now, stories can be really effective when you're speaking to a not very aware market because they're wide open. Dive into the story selling masterclass if you really want to understand the power of stories. But in the context of this, a story can be used to present a 10x better opportunity. It can be the story of you discovering this opportunity, the story of a prospect who discovered the opportunity through you and is living a better life as a result. The story can represent an urgent problem that needs to be solved, where you offer the solution. And again, it's the problem, agitate, invalidate, solve, ask presentation, but it's done in story format as opposed to a more direct presentation of the problem. And then we get to that place where people are at the least aware end of the market awareness spectrum, and we get to predictions. And this is the place where there's obviously the most overlap between the three big ideas that I've talked about. When you are making a big prediction about something that is going to happen, you typically have a very wide audience, but the connection between that prediction and your product, your service, your solution, even the problem that's generated from that prediction coming true, all of those are dots that you are going to have to connect through your copy. And so that's how these different big ideas specifically relate to the 6 lead types as presented in the book Great Leads by Michael Masterson and John Ford. And I would recommend that you read that because it is it's going to present different ways to approach copy in a way that that gives you specific strategies, techniques, and tactics to apply the principles in high velocity copywriting that I'm teaching you here. So zooming out, what are the elements that go into grabbing attention? What are the elements? And this is where we start to get very like line by line or very outline oriented. If you're going to structure your presentation, well, here are the different elements that you need to go through in terms of getting attention. Number one, call out your market. Call out your ideal prospect. Call out who it is that you're targeting this message to. And it's fairly simple, it's fairly straightforward, but it is consistently effective, and it is a great way to really give people that initial impression in the first couple seconds that, oh, this is for me. So you want to let them know, this is for them, and they're in the right place. It's simple. So if you're speaking to homeowners in Lincoln, Nebraska, you say Lincoln, Nebraska homeowners. If you're speaking to investors over age 65, say investors, maybe retired investors over age 65. Whoever you're speaking to, just call out to them. Next, boldly state your problem, opportunity, or prediction claim. And so you need to make it clear upfront what this is and why it's relevant to them. And there's a great set of criteria to help you understand how to say it in a way that is compelling. And that's the 4 U's, often taught by AWAI, that was developed inside the Agora direct response community. Number one, present it in a way that is urgent, that feels urgent. Number two, present it in a way that feels unique, that is, you say it in a way that it hasn't been said before. Number three, present it in a way that is ultra specific. Use specific numbers, specific facts, specific locations, specific details of any kind over generalities because they are more interesting and more believable. And 4, make it useful. Convey the utility of just engaging with your marketing message. Again, we're making the time sale here. We're saying that this is going to be worth your time. And so you need to convey the value and utility that they're going to get simply out of engaging with your message. Now, I just want to make a brief comment here about how to use headline formulas because, as I stand here, I actually, in preparation for this program, I pulled out a stack of maybe 250 3x5 note cards that at one point very early on in my copywriting career, I scribbled down a bunch of headline formulas onto these note cards, and I learned the common wordings used in headlines in some of the best direct response ads of all time. And very early on in my copywriting career, I also would sit down and for a given project, I might use 50 of these different cards that seem most relevant to write 50 different headlines for whatever sales message I was trying to put together. And I don't have any fundamental objection to that approach as long as what you write feels new and unique to your specific situation. And so if you're going to use headline formulas, if you're going to swipe, remember that you're doing it all in the service of the big idea that you're putting forward. And the words themselves are not what has power. It's the idea behind it that has the power that is really going to make your marketing message succeed or fail. It's going to succeed or fail on the strength of the message and on the strength of the idea, and not because you used a specific headline formula. So once you have gotten that initial interest, you need to support your initial claim. You support it by presenting the emotional benefits of what it is that you have to offer. A great illustration of this is, I forget exactly who I got it from. I think it might have been Ted Nicholas. He said, what is the purpose of your pre-head? The purpose of the pre-head in an advertisement, that's a little line of copy above the headline, is to get somebody to read the headline. Purpose of the headline is to get them to read the subhead. Purpose of the subhead is to get them to read the salutation. Purpose of the salutation is to get them to read the first line of body copy, and so on and so forth, all the way down until that last line is to get them to fill out the order form and respond. So you always have to remember that there has to be this continuous thread. AWAI calls it the golden thread. This continuous thread of logic that one sentence, one phrase flows into the next, into the next, into the next, such that it is in the words of John Carlton, a greased chute to the sale, to the response. And so, as soon as you've made your initial statement in the headline, you need to support that with the emotional benefits, with the practical benefits, with the fundamental facts. You need to get them to go deeper into your sales message. And very early on, again, you are just selling them on consuming the rest of the message. You're not trying to make your final sale yet, even though everything you do here is what sets that up. What you're doing here is you are convincing them that they need to pay attention and they need to hear you out. Now, optionally, and this is something that I like to do in content-focused webinars, but it works really well in the context of a selling message, is before you even get into, okay, I'm a credible authority on this, you really focus on providing 100% value out of the gate. And here I say this is especially for webinars. So you actually, make your strongest point, or a point that's so strong that they can't help but pay attention to the rest of your message right out of the gate, right as soon as you have their attention, because that in itself is a credibility and authority sale. So then you can go into the more formal presentation of your credibility, of your authority to deliver the message that you're going to deliver. And there are a couple different ways to do this that I want to talk about. One is a subtle brag. If you're going to defer a more formal bio or presentation of your qualifications until later, one of the things that you can do is say something along the lines of, I wasn't always known as this big time, let's say in this case, copywriting guru. I wasn't always known as an A-list copywriter. In fact, and what I've just done there is I have positioned myself as an A-list copywriter, but I have glanced over it so fast, I've thrown it in as a sidebar, such that I'm able to go on to something else that is relatively interesting and that in this case might actually present a history in which I didn't have the same qualifications I have today. But also it establishes that fact like early on, such that it becomes an accepted fact without having to present it in a very direct way. So that's the use of a subtle brag. So I might say, I wasn't always an A-list copywriter. In fact, the first marketing piece that I ever wrote, it got completely rejected by my client, and the whole project was a failure before it even came out of the starting gate. Well, okay, so I presented that I wasn't always an A-list copywriter as a juxtaposition to a failure, a demonstration of me not being an A-list copywriter. And because I immediately talked about the failure, it made the subtle brag more believable. An origin story is another great way to establish credibility, especially if you are if you are going to be solving some particular problem that you solved for yourself first. Having that origin story and presenting it here can be a great place to do it, especially if you're going to, again, use a story lead. I'm not going to go too deep into how to do that here because that's in the story selling masterclass. And then there's the tried and true fallback, which is the bio and credibility elements. If I'm going to say I have credibility and authority to solve your urgent problem, or to present this 10x opportunity, or to make an imminent prediction, any kind of credibility that says that I've done this before, that I've presented this before, that other people have recognized me for that, is going to be something that you can use at this point. And, you know, for lack of anything better, a better origin story or some failure story that works alongside a subtle brag, just simply presenting credibility here can be a very effective way to do that. Now, you need to promise value for the time spent with the selling message. So, really, again, we're just making the sale that this is going to be worth your time. You need to pay attention to what we have to say in the coming minutes, that you are going to get value simply out of paying attention to this marketing message. And so some common structures of this are, number one, how to get XYZ result without common pains and frustrations, how to make as much money as most doctors, or how to retire this year and still make as much money as most doctors, is essentially a variation on this. How to make $50 an hour surfing the web from home without ever getting dressed for work. You know, how to, whatever result your market wants that is tied to the problem, the opportunity, or the prediction. And then the without statement is a common pain or frustration that might otherwise be associated with that. You know, how to lose 8 pounds next month without any substantial exercise, major changes in diets, without giving up pizza, without giving up dessert, without whatever, and without, you know, any nasty pills. So how to get whatever result without common pains and frustrations. If you, and then some statement of them wanting the ideal outcome, then you must read this. If you want to know the secret to making money from home, making a 6-figure income from home as a writer, then please pay careful attention to this message. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you want whatever outcome, then here's your readership imperative. And then the readership bribe is another way that you can push people to pay attention to your entire message. So, for example, you'll often see this in product launch content, that the very early on in the video, if they're going to, let's say, go through a mind map like this, they'll say, be sure you watch until the very end, because I'm going to give you immediate download access to this mind map so that you can go off and start applying this immediately. So that's a great example of some kind of readership bribe. Or I'm going to give you a free report that reveals the top 3 stocks in this sector. I'm going to give you one secret to whatever. All you have to do is pay attention. This is a fairly simple bribe, and in some cases, the secret, this gets a little sneaky. You have to decide where your line is, but in some cases, the readership bribe, actually they're offering you something for free, but really, if you stay until the end, you're going to figure out how to get it free, and the way that you get it free is by actually responding to what offer they're going to put in front of you. So at this point, we should have called out our market. We should have presented our big idea. We should have established ourselves as credible, and we should have given people reason to stick with us for the entire message. And that's what it takes to get attention and to open the sale. So if you have questions, be sure you use the questions functionality. If you'd like to rate and review with a takeaway from this lesson, feel free to do that as well. And I look forward to having you join me for the next step of high velocity copywriting.